Picture this. It's 1923, Weimar Germany. A woman walks into a bakery. She's pushing a wheelbarrow, not to carry bread home. She needs it to carry the money required to buy one single loaf. Stacks of banknotes, billions of marks, practically worthless. By the time she reaches the counter, the price has already doubled. Her life savings? Gone. Her retirement? Evaporated. Everything she thought was safe turned to dust. Now put yourself in her place, standing in that line, heart pounding. What would you have done differently? What could you have owned that would have protected you? History doesn't whisper, it screams, and it's screaming the same warning across every collapsed economy humanity has ever seen, from ancient Rome to modern Venezuela. Paper promises fail, but certain assets endure. Today, I'm going to show you the 5 assets that have survived every single economic apocalypse on record. These aren't trendy stocks, not crypto gambles, not get-rich-quick schemes. These are the financial lifeboats that have carried real people through the worst storms civilization has ever faced. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what they are, and more importantly, what you can do, starting today, to make sure you and your family are on one of those lifeboats when the next storm hits. Let's begin. Asset number 1, gold. If you study every major economic collapse in history, one asset shows up again and again: gold. Not because of superstition, not because it's shiny, but because of cold, hard, rational human behavior and 5,000 years of proof. Gold has been money longer than any government has existed. The oldest gold coins date back to 600 BC in ancient Lydia, modern-day Turkey. Every great civilization independently chose gold as their ultimate store of value. Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, Chinese, Islamic empires, Europeans. This wasn't random. Gold has properties that make it almost perfect for preserving wealth through chaos. First, it's scarce. All the gold ever mined in human history would fit inside a cube about 72 feet on each side. You can't print it, you can't create it out of thin air. It takes massive effort and real resources to pull it out of the ground. That scarcity is physical, permanent. Second, it's durable. Gold doesn't rust, doesn't corrode, doesn't decay. A gold coin buried in 100 BC looks almost the same when you dig it up today. Paper burns. Digital records disappear when the power goes out. Gold just endures. Third, it's universally recognized. From a remote village in India to a skyscraper in New York, everyone knows what gold is and wants it. You don't need a common language. You don't need a functioning government. Gold speaks for itself. And fourth, it's portable relative to its value. 1 ounce, smaller than a credit card, can represent serious wealth. You can carry it across borders, hide it in clothing, move it quietly. Try doing that with a house or a factory. Let me show you what actually happened in real collapses. Weimar Germany, 1921-1923. The German mark went from 4 marks per dollar to 4.2 trillion marks per dollar. People burned cash for heat because it was cheaper than firewood. But gold? In 1921, 1 ounce bought a nice suit. In 1923, at the absolute bottom, 1 ounce still bought a nice suit. The number of marks exploded. Gold's purchasing power stayed rock steady. Those who held gold survived. Those who held paper were destroyed. Fast forward to America's Great Depression. 1933, President Roosevelt made private gold ownership illegal. He ordered citizens to turn in their gold for $20.67 an ounce. Then the government immediately revalued gold to $35 an ounce. Overnight, the dollar lost nearly 40% of its value by decree. Anyone who had quietly converted wealth to gold before the ban kept their purchasing power. Everyone else got crushed. Soviet Union, 1991. The ruble collapsed. Shelves emptied. Wages went unpaid for months. But gold remained tradable. A small amount could buy food, medicine, or a way out. Venezuela, 2016 to 2018. Inflation hit 1,000,000%. People weighed money instead of counting it. But Venezuelans with gold jewelry traded it for food, medicine, or even exit visas. Gold held value when everything else evaporated. So why does gold work when everything else fails? Three big reasons. 1. No counterparty risk. A dollar is a promise from the government. A bank account is a promise from a bank. In collapse, promises break. Governments default. Banks close. Gold isn't a promise. It's a physical thing with inherent value. It doesn't depend on anyone staying solvent. 2. It's an exit door. When capital controls freeze accounts, when borders close to money transfers, when you need to leave fast, gold travels. Refugees throughout history have sewn it into clothing, melted it into jewelry, carried it in tiny pouches. 3. Psychological precedent. For 5,000 years, gold has meant wealth. That instinct is buried deep. Even when governments try to ban it or replace it, people run back to gold the moment trust disappears. Practical advice: own physical gold, coins or small bars, not paper ETFs or certificates. In real collapse, paper claims to gold are just more paper.
Gold doesn't pay interest or dividends. It just sits there, being gold. In normal times, that makes it a poor investment. In collapse, production stops anyway. Gold's job isn't to make you rich, it's to preserve what you already have. And informal markets always appear. They have in every collapse, because everyone needs a currency that actually works. Gold is asset number 1, but it's not the only one. Asset number 2, productive agricultural land. Strip away every layer of modern complexity and one truth remains: humans need to eat. That makes productive agricultural land the most fundamentally valuable asset in any severe collapse. Not land as a status symbol, not land for speculation, land that grows food, land that produces calories when supply chains break. Before banks, before money, before governments, there was land. Every empire rested on the ability to feed its people. When systems collapse, that ancient reality comes roaring back. Good farmland has 4 killer advantages in crisis. 1. It's tangible. You can stand on it, work it, defend it. 2. It's productive. Properly managed, it produces food, fiber, timber, year after year. 3. It's permanent. Land doesn't disappear. It can't be inflated away or digitally erased. 4. It produces the one thing that never loses value: food. When currency collapses, people still eat. When governments fail, people still eat. When grocery stores are empty, people still need calories. Food is the ultimate non-discretionary demand. History proves it. Great Depression. Urban unemployment hit 25%. Bread lines stretched for blocks. But many rural families who owned their land outright could still eat. They grew their own food. When cash disappeared, calories didn't. Soviet collapse, 1990s. Cities descended into chaos. Stores were empty. But millions of Russians with small dacha plots survived by growing potatoes and vegetables. At the peak, over 70% of households produced some of their own food. Those tiny plots saved lives. Fall of Rome. As cities became dangerous, people fled to rural estates. The villa system turned into medieval manors because land meant security when central authority vanished. Argentina, 2001. Peso crashed. Banks froze accounts. Rural landowners who produced food kept their wealth and even thrived. Urban savers lost everything. Why does farmland work so well? First, it solves the calorie problem directly. When global supply chains snap, local production becomes priceless. A few acres of good land can feed a family indefinitely. Second, it creates barter power. Surplus food becomes currency. Eggs, grain, meat, everyone needs them. You can trade for tools, labor, protection. Third, it builds community leverage. A productive farm can support workers, specialists, allies. Food surplus lets you maintain a doctor, a mechanic, guards. Fourth, it's hard to confiscate completely. Financial assets disappear with a keystroke.
Taking land requires physical force, and the person working it still controls production day to day. A few hard truths. Location is everything. Land with reliable water, good soil, long growing seasons, and defensible geography is gold. Land without water is a trap. Debt is deadly. Mortgaged land isn't an asset in collapse, it's a liability. Free and clear ownership is what historically mattered. Defense matters. Productive land attracts desperate people. Strong community or isolated location is usually required. Scale realistically. 5 acres you can actually work is worth more than 100 acres you can't. Farmland isn't about quick returns, it's long-term insurance. It underperforms stocks in good times. That's fine. It shines when everything else fails. Gold and land, two timeless heavyweights. But the next asset surprised even me when I first realized how powerful it is. Asset number 3, essential practical skills. Here's something most people completely miss. In every major collapse, the single most valuable asset wasn't always something you could hold. It was something you carried in your head. Skills. Real, practical, hands-on skills. When systems break, the ability to do useful things becomes worth more than almost any object you own. Because skills can't be stolen, can't be taxed, can't be inflated away. They go wherever you go. In normal times, we're hyper-specialized. You trade your niche expertise for money, then buy everything else. That works great until the system stops. Suddenly, being a financial analyst or social media manager means nothing. No one needs PowerPoints when there's no power. What people need are the old fundamental skills. Grow food, fix things, heal wounds, build shelter, purify water. The mechanic who can keep a generator running becomes a king. The nurse who can treat infections becomes priceless. History is crystal clear. Fall of Rome. Sophisticated knowledge vanished, but blacksmiths, millers, brewers, healers, those skills carried civilization through the Dark Ages. Soviet collapse. PhDs drove taxis. Nuclear engineers couldn't find work. But mechanics, plumbers, gardeners, anyone who could repair or grow, they thrived in the informal economy. Argentina, 2001. Electricians and handymen traded labor directly for food. They didn't need banks. Venezuela today. Doctors flee, but people who can fix generators or shoes still eat. The most valuable skill categories? Basic medicine, first aid, wound care, infection treatment, food production and preservation, gardening, canning, hunting, mechanical repair, engines, tools, improvisation, construction and fabrication, wood, metal, building, water and sanitation, energy and heat. Teaching multiplies your value. A person who can teach others becomes a community cornerstone. The best part? Many of these skills are useful right now. Gardening saves money today. First aid helps today. Home repairs pay off today. And skills are perfectly portable. If you have to flee, your gold might be taken, your land stays behind, but your knowledge travels with you. Refugees have rebuilt entire lives with nothing but skills. Skills are asset number 3, but the next one is the most overlooked and maybe the most powerful. Asset number 4, strong community networks. Most preppers imagine lone wolf survival, bunker, stockpile, defended alone. History says the opposite. In every real collapse, the people who survived and rebuilt weren't isolated. They were deeply embedded in strong, trusting communities. Because humans are social animals, our greatest survival advantage is cooperation. No matter how prepared you are alone, you have limits. You can't guard 24/7. You can't know every skill. You can't fight a group alone. You can't stay healthy forever without help. A group of 20 to 200 aligned people can do what no individual can. Watch rotations, shared labor, pooled resources, emotional support.
History proves it again and again. Fall of Rome, monasteries survived because they were organized communities. American frontier, barn raisings, wagon trains, tight settlements. Great Depression, towns with mutual aid and barter networks had lower death rates. Soviet 1990s, extended families and village networks kept people alive. What makes a community resilient? Pre-existing trust, built over years, not days. Shared values or purpose. Diverse skills and resources. Geographic closeness. Manageable size, 20 to 200 people. Community has costs, obligations, norms, potential for conflict, but the benefits are unmatched. And the most resilient setups are networks of communities, trade, information, mutual support on a larger scale. Community isn't something you buy, it's something you build, starting now. Know your neighbors, join local groups, help before you need help. It takes time, but it's the asset that regenerates, adapts, and keeps people human through hell. 4 assets down, 1 to go, and this last one is what most people think of first, but it's last for a very good reason. Asset number 5, basic supplies and tools. Stockpiles, the classic prepper image. Supplies absolutely matter. In the first days, weeks, months of chaos, they keep you alive long enough for the other assets to kick in. But they're last on this list because they're the least durable. They run out, they degrade, they can be stolen or destroyed. They buy time, not permanent solutions. The categories that actually count: water purification and storage, filters, tablets, containers; food storage, grains, canned goods, freeze-dried, calories and nutrition; medical supplies, first aid, antibiotics if legal, prescription reserves; energy and heat, wood stove, fuel, warm clothing; tools and repair items, hand tools, fasteners, spare parts; security items, whatever's legal and appropriate in your area; lighting and communication, flashlights, batteries, radios. Real examples: Hurricane Katrina, people died of dehydration in a modern city because clean water wasn't accessible. Yugoslav wars, antibiotics became worth their weight in gold. Texas 2021 freeze, people froze in homes because they had no alternative heat. Cuba 1990s, tools and spare parts kept 1950s cars running for decades. Limits you must accept. Supplies are finite, they take space, they can make you a target. Best practices: focus on essentials first. Store what you already eat and use. Rotate stock. Distribute and hide portions. Include barter items like coffee, salt, ammo, alcohol. Share some with community to build goodwill. Supplies reduce panic. They give you mental clarity when others are desperate, but they're the bridge, not the destination. Bringing it all together. Let's pull the threads together. 5 assets: gold, productive agricultural land, essential practical skills, strong community networks, basic supplies, and tools. Notice the order: most durable to least durable, hardest to acquire to easiest. Gold lasts forever. Land persists for generations. Skills travel with you. Community regenerates. Supplies run out. The strategy is simple.